I'm David Pakman in New York City. I'm joined by producer Louis Motamedi in Austin, Texas. Government shutdown is looming, and it is representative of absolutely the worst problems with the two-party status quo that we have in this country. But that being said, I am not saying what many corporate media outlets are saying, using terms like partisan gridlock, or it's a standoff, it's a showdown, it's a failure of leadership from the president. That is not what I am saying, and I'll tell you why in a second. If there is no compromise by midnight tonight, Americans could soon see the impact of the government shutting down. National parks could close. Many low to moderate income borrowers and first-time homeowners seeking government-backed mortgages could face significant delays or be unable to borrow. 800,000 federal workers would be forced off of the job without pay. Pretty important services like patrolling the border, inspecting meat, air traffic control would continue, Social Security benefits would be sent, and Medicare and Medicaid healthcare programs for the elderly and poor would continue to pay doctors and hospitals. Louis, if it were just Congress shutting down, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. That is unfortunately not the case. But that being said, a lot of critical services would keep functioning. This, to me, I'm going to talk a little bit here about blame, political blame. But I have such skepticism at this point for the two-party congressional system that we have, that even when I think of the Democratic elected officials who are trying to keep government from shutting down, they want to keep government open, so to speak, even them, I understand that it would be factually speaking good for government to stay open, but I still think in my mind that both sides are doing what they think is politically advantageous first, and then after that, doing what they think might be good for people or maybe not. I don't think it's the top priority.
Right. And if they're doing what they sometimes, in some cases, when they are choosing to do what's politically advantageous, perhaps they think that by setting themselves up for more victories for Democrats or Republicans, they're helping their country in the long run. But in reality, this is all just almost everything that happens in this country is just partisan bickering and the result of partisan bickering.
I want to add a bit, though, to what I said, which I agree with Louis, which is that this really shows us the worst of government in so many other countries that are at the same level of development that the U.S. stands at today. This would not even be a thing, right? Government shutdown. The two parties are going to shut down the entire thing. This is crazy. You're going to see, and you're already seeing, I've been seeing it all weekend on corporate media, we've got a showdown. It's a political gridlock. It's partisan. It's a standoff. This is not really true. This is simply Republicans doing what they said they would do the day President Obama was inaugurated, which is they met along with Frank Luntz and Newt Gingrich was there and a bunch of elected Republicans, and they said, whatever we can do to get in the way, we are going to be obstructionists from now until the day President Obama leaves office. We hope it will be after one term. Didn't end up being that way. And this is just part of that. So all of the corporate media, either as a result of ignorance, Louis, or as a result of wanting to play the on the one hand, on the other hand, we don't pick sides, everything is everyone's fault, there's two sides to every story type of thing, they will present this as a showdown where both sides are equally responsible for the possibility that government will shut down. However, it is not the case, Louis, because when you ask Republicans, well, in what way are the Democrats responsible just as much for the possibility of the shutdown? They'll say, well, they're trying to prevent us from defunding Obamacare. Obamacare was passed by the democratic process. It was even brought all the way up to the highest court in the land and ruled constitutional and upheld. The idea that Democrats are as much of a problem as Republicans in the possibility of a shutdown because they don't want to defund a law that was democratically passed and upheld by the Supreme Court is bogus, and most corporate media outlets are afraid to say it the way it is.
And I don't understand that. I mean, certainly there are even a few who you would think would be happy to report on something like that. It's not happening. I mean, when obstruction is the entire goal of half of our political system, I don't understand why we can't just admit that.